Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Island Mischief, the Eastport Arts Center podcast. I'm your host, Mark Macy. This week we get some perspective on the EAC by speaking to Eastport Arts Center newbie Lauren L. Elwood, as well as Eastport Arts Center fixture Jean Wilhelm. Greg Biss, president of the EAC Board and an accomplished pianist and composer, provides us with a musical interlude pulled from our EAC video archives. So, without further ado, let's jump in. First, we hear from Jean Wilhelm. There is much to be said about Jean. She is many things to many people. But suffice it to say that she was instrumental in choosing the Eastport Arts Center's current building and in designing our theater, and for many years, including 12 in Australia, was a professor of theater, directing, designing, and arts administration. As you'll hear in the interview, Jean is witty, intelligent, and warm. Enjoy. Thanks for sitting down with me today, Jean. I really appreciate it. And I just have 4 questions for you, if that is all right with you.
That's fine.
Okay. The first question I want to ask you is, why Eastport?
Why Eastport? Well, it's a wonderful little town scenically, but beyond that, it's full of interesting people of all shapes and sizes, and there's a kind of magical electricity that goes on in it. And when I got here, there had been a little theater, but it it had come and gone with college students doing it very successfully, but they'd left. And so it seemed time to move onward, and we did.
I know you've been instrumental in both Stage East and the Eastport Arts Center and the community in general, and making all of that happen. You've been moving and shaking.
I've been having a good time.
Good, that's what we like to hear. Yeah, you've been having a good time in Eastport for a while.
Absolutely.
And I'm wondering, for somebody who's pretty new like me, I'm always really interested to hear how have these organizations changed in the time that you've been here?
Well, Stage East had been originated by a group of college students that came here, and one of whom eventually became the head of the Yale School of Drama. And they were wandering around the country just finding places where they could do plays, and found Eastport and loved it and did plays. Only briefly. I think they were here for 2 summers and then dispersed. And there seemed to be a hole that had to be filled. And so various people, some of whom had been involved with that organization, pitched in and started doing plays in a wonderful, very old theater that was hardly a theater at all, but there were benches in it on which we could sit and not much room. It was a very old building, and the outside of it was nice. But as things developed, we just obviously needed better facilities, and marched on and found them, built them.
A lot of the work you've done has been with Stage East, but you were also on the board of the Arts Center. So I'm just wondering, how do you see those two organizations? What's their relationship like?
Well, Stage East is a member of the Arts Center, and it's a nice arrangement in that each arts organization remains independent in its choices and actions and things, and all contributing to the Arts Center in order to keep it going and properly functional. So it's very much a cooperative enterprise.
Yeah. So those were kind of side questions. I have two more questions for you. One is for both Stage East, the Arts Center, all of the constituent groups, and Eastport in general even. I'm wondering, since you've been here a long time, you've been involved a long time, I'm wondering what you see as some opportunities going forward and some challenges going forward.
Well, let's look at opportunities. We have quite a collection of organizations all doing different things, and a kind of flexibility that if somebody comes up with a bright idea of a new kind of offering to be made, that can be worked into the whole process. Much more flexible than it used to be. It's flourished of late. It's gotten richer and richer, really. And Greg Biss has been a phenomenal head of it all. It's grown not only in size but in atmosphere. I think we go on getting warmer, and that's good.
Great. I love that. I love that answer. And then the last thing I wanted to just kind of go out on is if you would pick one or maybe two fond memories of working on something, or just a couple of stories to take us out on.
Well, certainly one of them was getting the theater open in time for opening night, which was a wild escapade. And I will always remember, as the audience was coming in on one side, the guys that had been rigging pipes up in the ceiling were coming down the steps on the other side in the lobby. It was quite a scene.
That's very funny. I can, having walked up and down those stairs many times, I can visualize that scenario well.
It was marvelously funny. And it was a wonderful feeling that something pretty remarkable was about to happen, and it did, and it still is.
Yeah, I know I said we'd wrap up after that, but I have to. Here's this ongoing thing that you've been part of and nourished, and what does it feel like to see it succeeding and thriving, even under pretty difficult circumstances the past few years?
Joyful, absolutely. I'm very grateful to have been part of it.
Well, I can't think of a better sentiment to go out on than that. So thanks so much for talking to me today, Gene.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was my interview with Gene Wilhelm. A quick correction, Gene still sits on the board of the Eastport Arts Center. Next, a musical interlude from Greg Biss. He introduces and talks about the piece, so I'll save my breath and let him explain.
I'm going to play an etude by Philip Glass, contemporary American composer. I'm still writing a lot of music. He's in his early 80s, I think, but very busy. He's written all kinds of music, operas, instrumental music, songs, you name it, just a lot of music. And he's quite famous among new classical composers. And in particular, he was concerned with what is often called minimalism. He doesn't necessarily like that term, but using relatively small number of different materials and repeating them with changes that occur in sometimes surprising places. This is an etude. Many people think of etudes as being study pieces, practice pieces, and many are, but there are also a whole genre of etudes, starting with Chopin and Liszt, 19th century composers, which are also considered concert pieces. They're etudes because they're concerned with one particular technical problem. This is one of Glass's. He published 12 etudes, and this is the third one of that set.
That was Greg Biss playing Philip Glass for EAC Video. To see more of Greg playing, check out our YouTube channel or visit eastportartscenter.org. Next, I have a conversation with Lauren Elwood. Hailing from Bangor, Maine, Lauren is the intern here at the Eastport Arts Center. She's a recent graduate from Oberlin College with a BA in theater and dance. She acts, dances, directs, choreographs, and writes. And if you've been following the Eastport Arts Center recently, you know that she's got her hands in a lot. And, as you'll see from our interview, she's got the energy for it. You'll hear me refer to Lauren as Elle, which is her nickname, and makes her full name kind of a tongue twister when you try to put it all together. Lauren L. Elwood. Anyway, let's see what she has to say. Hi, Elle.
Hi, Mark.
How are you?
I'm fine.
That's good.
I'm glad I'm talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad I'm talking to you.
Thank you.
So we're just going to jump right into our questions.
Jump in the deep end.
The first one's easy.
Yes.
It's why Eastport?
Why Eastport?
Why Eastport?
It's a really good question. I will take a little bit of a winding road to answer this, but I'll get there, I promise. So this last year, I graduated from college, Oberlin, go yo, in theater and dance. And as one who is about to be post-grad, I had absolutely no clue. And I'm looking back to fall of 2020, crazy times. Again, there were no vaccines yet. Everything was still a little unsure. I was completely uncertain about like my future and what I wanted to do. And again, my major is theater and dance, and so those are performing arts. Performing arts venues, like you gotta be in person. You don't have to, but it's preferable. And so I just had absolutely no clue of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And when I came home to Bangor, I'm from Bangor. Shout out.
Main city.
Yes. The big city, as they say here. I ran into a really close friend, like basically uncle in my family. And he was like, hey, Frank Dudish. Also, I should say his name is Frank Dudish. He was like, hey, I live in Eastport for part of the year. I have housing. I can house you and connect you to Chris Granis. Also, shout out. And you can come live in Eastport for an allotted amount of time. And I was like, yes, please. And I was like finally given a direction. And so once I graduated, I jumped on over here. From July to now would probably about 8, 9, 6. I don't know.
Something.
Time is not real.
Yeah, I can't do the math.
Don't make me do math, Mark. That's not my strong suit.
At any rate,
anyway, yeah.
You've had some time here, and you've during the pandemic situation. I'm just interested to hear how you feel like the Art Center has changed or evolved while you've been here.
That's also a good question, Mark. You're a great interviewer.
Oh, stop.
Okay. I will. So I'll answer the question. How has Eastport Art Center changed? I definitely say it has opened up a bit more since when I was here. Though I did come here in the middle of summer, so things were like opening up a bit, and that was when there was still hope. What a crazy thing. But then like we got word of all the variants and things shut down again. But I think now the Art Center has a language and ways to address the pandemic. There's just a lot more knowledge now, and so there can be more events, capital E events, and so there's been a lot more in-person things.
Yeah.
Be it the Staged East shows or like that Sunday afternoon stuff, or even the Children's Theater Workshop, shout out, among other things. But I just say it opened up a lot more in the short.
Yeah, it's funny to think about because it's nice to hear that. I think it's true, and I think I haven't been here too much longer than you, just a couple of years, and
A lifetime.
Yeah, a lifetime. Feels that way because of when I got here, but it can feel like we're off and on and off and on. So it's nice to kind of get the perspective, like, no, things are different.
They have changed. It has happened. Surprising. When did you get here again?
I got here in September of 2019.
Different world.
Yep. Very different world. You've been working very broadly with the Arts Center. You've been doing a lot of different stuff, and I'm sure people are, aware of what you have your hands in through our newsletter and that kind of thing. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, since you've gotten to know the organization over your time here, I'm just wondering if you can think of any opportunities or challenges that you see coming up for the Arts Center, near or long term, but just fun to hear perspectives from people who are new. Absolutely. Thank you. Also a good question. You'll just keep hearing that, Mark, but also gives me time to think. That's really what you're doing, buying yourself.
Giving myself time.
That's good.
It's good. But I've actually been thinking about this question a lot. And maybe it's the sociologist's daughter in me, but I think a lot of the, broader scale, larger issues that are opportunities and challenges that I see the Arts Center grappling with maybe going forward are the issues that are mirrored within the city itself of Eastport, or like the larger community surrounding. Let me get my bearings. Those would include things like just like retention of younger people, the changing demographics throughout the year, so like summer people versus year-rounders, and then also within those two groups there's just like large economic disparities that also show up within housing. And I don't know, these are issues that I've been thinking about and just mulling over. And as much as I also think the Arts Center is a place for people to come together and just to find community, I also think art centers and art at large, it's really important for them to question and enlighten about the forces that are affecting the community.
Yeah.
How? There's always the biggie, and I don't necessarily have answers, and then there's also like, you want to avoid doing like cultural spinach, as one of my professors would say, of like forcing issues or ideas down a community's throat that don't want to hear it. Like, you still got to listen to the needs and desires of the community, but the bigger question is also, are we speaking to the entire community? Are we listening to the entire community?
Cool. Well, I think just to wrap this up, I was wondering if you would share just one kind of favorite memory from your time here, something that stands out as, and I'm sure you could, we could sit here all day and tell
all
stories,
day.
About fun things that have happened, but I'm just wondering if you have a standout.
Yes, I do. Thank you for asking, Mark. A favorite memory, the first thing that came to my mind when is when we did the last round of Children's Theater Workshop, and I got to see my kiddos perform their final pieces. And so for those who aren't aware, me and Mark did Children's Theater Workshop. Mark graciously took the younger kids and did a whole cute little thing with the story about these crayons. And with my older kids, I wrote, no, I didn't write. The kids wrote monologues or scenes that they devised themselves. And my kids seem to gravitate towards the ideas of murder and death and dying, and I loved it. I embraced it, and just seeing their final products just like really warmed my heart, because I think they did a really fantastic job. So I think that would be my favorite memory so far. I was really impressed by how narratively sophisticated they were. It's really interesting, and I think I love that they got, one of the things that's fun about a space like theater is it is
I talk about this with the kids as well, is, you know, there's a time and a place where certain things are appropriate and certain things are inappropriate. And, you know, you're probably not going to be, you know, doing murder mysteries at school or whatever, but, you know, this is a space where we can explore some of that stuff, and I think it's, you know, that's a part of things that are real to these kids' lives.
No, yeah.
You know, they're intelligent and they're aware. You know?
Yeah, and it's important to delve into darker things with humor or not with humor, and give them the chance to explore that.
Yeah. So it's been exciting, and you know, with children's theater, it's been such a fun space, and it's been fun to see how the program. You know, I was pretty new to taking it on. It had been run by a few different people, but most recently, director of the EAC, Chris Granis, and so it was fun to kind of pick up off of that, and then to have you around has been fun, and it'll be interesting to see where we go from here.
In the springtime.
And spring, yeah. Way to set us up for the pitch. I'll say we do have another session of Children's Theater Workshop coming up in the spring. So do watch out for announcements about that. But thank you for talking to me.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
We look forward to keeping you around for a little while longer. And
for how long, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
there's also the important question that keeps being asked. And I'm like, I don't know.
You got to keep people on their toes. You know?
Have people be glad that I'm still around.
Exactly. You've been playing the long con. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks to Gene Wilhelm and Lauren L. Elwood for appearing on the show. And thanks to EAC Video and Greg Biss for letting us use that piano recording for the show. It really rocked. Moose Island Mischief is edited by Mark Macy and produced by the Eastport Arts Center. Check us out online at eastportartscenter.org. There were no news items or ads this week, but don't worry, the Moose Island Players, our radio acting troupe, will be back next time. I promise. And remember, if you're ever wicked far down east, come and see us.